All right, so I had some thoughts on Solaris that I wanted to talk about. I didn't really want to make a forum post because, well, we know what happens with forum posts. But I thought I'd spell some things out that I like, dislike, what I'd like to see changed. I do generally enjoy Solaris in its current form, although it's pretty clear that if you want to play Solaris, you have to be patient, click around, look for matches. There's not a lot happening, really. And I think there's some things that could be fixed that would make it a lot better and maybe increase the number of people that are actually dropping from day to day. Obviously, there's going to be a segment of population that enjoys this style of game more than they enjoy things like faction play and quick play, and so it would be a good thing for the game to have this out there. I don't think that it really takes away from faction play, but it does give, or quick play for that matter, but it does give solo pilots a thing to do while they're waiting for their friends to come online, while they're waiting for a group, etc. However, there are some issues and issues that need to be fixed pretty quickly to make things better for everybody. First thing I want to talk about is the UI. I think there's some real issues here that need to be dealt with. One of the biggest ones, I think one of the biggest selling points of Solaris for me was the idea of spectators. The fact that we could actually kind of engage with the matches that are happening and see what's going on. And it also gives newer pilots, less skilled pilots, a way to watch battles happen and actually maybe learn something, learn what kind of mechs to take, what kind of strategies work, what kind of strategies don't work. And I mean, there are those who learn well from watching. So but the problem is, for all that they hyped Solaris and the spectator mode and everything else, if you look at the screen right now, you can't see that there's any matches going on at all. Now, granted, there probably are no matches going on, especially because of the time of day. But if you look, where's the watch list? It's down here in this corner. You can't see it. There's nothing prominently saying, "Hey, Murata Kell and Not Bob are queuing up in Division 1 to fight." You might want to watch that, right? There's just nothing here. There's nothing saying that. If, at minimum, what should be changed is this watch list should be moved up to the top of this board. If you look at this leaderboard, it does not change very often or at any particularly rapid pace, right? Especially once the divisions have been established. Changes on this board happen very, very slowly, right? So this is not something that we all need to be looking at all the time, right? You might want to check it if it's something that concerns you, but it's nothing new. Nothing's changing. Whereas in the watch list, of course, we have matches happening every 2 minutes, so this could change every 2 minutes. Patron progress, I think a lot of people like to see this, see where they're at, but again, no change here. I mean, from match to match, you don't make a lot of movement. It's on a larger over the course of a day that you might, especially as you get ranked up, that you might even move from one rank to the next. What is important is right here. This happens every 2 minutes. We want to see this every 2 minutes. And if there is a high-end match, where we're talking about pilots that are in the top 100 in any given division, I think we'd like to see something in the middle of the screen, or along the ticker tape saying, hey, Data's just queued up with Not Bob. Data's just queued up with Yondu. They're about to fight in Division 1 in Annihilators. You might want to watch that. You might want to watch if they were fighting in Division 6 or 7 too, because then you'd see a really dynamic fight, right? Obviously, 2 Annihilators in Division 1 just, pelt each other, and then whoever gets the most damage in first wins. You can see a lot of interesting fights happen in the lower divisions. But anyway, like I said, just make this more prominent. Make it something where we actually see shit's going on. And I think even in the main screen here, it might not be a bad idea if when a really serious fight is happening, we could actually see it, right? I would like to know if some serious contenders are going head to head. I'd like to watch, Moving on, there's some issues like, for example, the Solaris chat. There is no Solaris chat, is there? As it is, the chat systems and the community systems built into this game are pretty subpar. There's no box over here saying who's in this chat room. Basic shit that you'd see in any other game. There's no way to create a private chat room with 3 or 4 pilots. It's so much basic stuff is just not here. And you have voice comms built into this game, but they're not here. Where are they? I can't create a group of 12 people and go, hey, let's just talk on comms while we're here, right? There's nothing built in. This is the reason why so many people use TeamSpeak and Discord, and I'm not sure if people use Ventrilo or other things, but these outside platforms are so dominant and they're basically required to actually be effective in this game due to the fact that your inside chat systems just are subpar. They don't. I mean, there's no games out there, I would think, that have any kind of multiplayer community that are worse than this, honestly. And on that note, fix the freaking friends list. How many times do I need to be sending invites to people who are no longer online? This needs to work right. It doesn't work. Next topic, matchmaking. So one thing about, and I would say that I'm probably similar to other pilots. I don't just pick a division and queue up in it, right? Because I've sat there a million times now where I've waited 5 minutes and a match hasn't happened. What I do when I'm queuing up now is I click through 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, nobody's queuing up in any of these divisions. And I'll just sit here and do this. I might mess with some decals for 30 seconds because I know I don't really need to care about this until about the last 20 seconds of countdown, right? But, and here's the thing. Once I do this, I'm locked. I can't do anything, right? I'm stuck. I can't do shit. I can't mess with my decals. I can't mess with my war horns. I can't do anything. I'm just stuck watching this countdown. What fun is that? I can't even, maybe I can talk in a chat box, but the chat we already established that this sucks and there's no Solaris chat. So what am I doing? So I would rather just sit here and click through, find a match, and then launch, right? Well, what if I could queue up in all of these divisions at the same time, right? What if I go, okay, I don't want to really fight with Annihilators right now, but I want to queue up in Division 2, 4, 5, and 7. So I check box on all of those, and I hit launch, and it queues me up in all of those divisions. Now I can queue up, and, I'm likely to get a fight with somebody. And if a whole bunch of people, all the people who normally queue up could queue up that way, we might actually be able to get decent matches against people with closer SSRs, right? Because you have that many more people in the pool. I think that would really help things. And in addition to that, I think that you should have an indicator here on the top right corner going, okay, there's one person queued up here, there's one person queued up here, and so on. And then you could also say, all right, on the left side, we could have 2v2s, right? Because right now we don't get 2v2s at all. I mean, you could queue up in 2v2. Does anyone even know that you're there? No. They have to create a group. To even see it, they have to create a group. And then they have to go through here and click 1, 2, 3, and go through them all, right? And as we can see, there's nobody queued up in there at all. So have a way for people to see, hey, there's somebody queued up in 2s, right? And they're queued up in this division, or maybe they're queued up in all the divisions, right? So whoever wants to fight them can choose which division they want to fight them in. I don't know. Or they could queue up in all of them, and then whichever division has the closest SSR between the two teams could be the one that gets picked, right? Again, just something to help alleviate the matchmaking as it is and increase the number of pilots in all the buckets, because we like our buckets, right? And one thing that you guys did when you created Solaris was add 14 buckets to the game. So you need to find a way to allow people to be in multiple buckets, if that's the case. In addition to that, let's look at our leaderboards. If you can see right here, Division 1, Division 2, we can see that almost all of these pilots are not fighting each other. If these pilots were fighting each other regularly, you would see a lot more losses in this column, okay? Because someone is going to be losing. You don't have two winners, right? Or you'd see some ties maybe. You need to give these pilots here incentive to drop. And I would say, you click through, you can see that it's a pretty common thing. You'll see a handful of pilots, and I run into them. I run into Legan. In the top tiers, I've run into Data like one time. I've run into Rasputin a whole bunch because he drops a lot, right? You need to create some sort of a prize fight tool. And it could be, you could have so many prize fights per hour, per 15 minutes, whatever. I don't really care how you do it. But allow these pilots here to queue up and go, what? I'm going to queue up in the prize fights bracket, okay? And the only people who can queue up against someone in the prize fights are people within a reasonable amount of SSR, right? So you could say, well, Data's here. Obviously, he's kind of out in his own bracket now. But you could say that everyone within the top 100 pilots of him could queue up to fight him in that prize fight, right? Meanwhile, he can go off and play quick play or faction play or whatever, and the prize fight could be scheduled, and then he can check back and go, okay, look, somebody's going to fight me at this time in this bracket, and he'll, because he queued up, he's agreeing to be there. Obviously, if he doesn't show up for the fight, he takes an automatic loss, something like that. But, give them, and obviously you're going to want to give them a payout that's equivalent to the SSR that they're risking, right? You get 100,000 as your payout for most fights, but if he's going to queue up and risk his SSR against the other pilots on the leaderboard that are close to him, he needs a larger payout for winning or losing. Obviously, for winning, maybe it needs to be 200,000. Maybe it needs to be 500,000. He's taking a big risk, right? And the higher up he is on the board in relation to the other pilots, the more the payout should be in regards to the risk. Obviously, we don't want to give them the ability to farm, so it shouldn't be something spammable, but he should be able to queue up for a couple prize fights a day. I don't know. These are the things that you need to figure out. In that same vein, we have units in this game, and units only really have an effect in faction play at the moment. Why can't units have grudge matches between each other in Solaris? And what you could do is you could say, for example, my unit, CSPS, we kind of have an old rivalry now with MS. We could go, okay, you know what, let's pit our 12 best against your 12 best. And, they agree to the fight. Maybe we each put a certain number of C-bills on the line. I don't know. That's gambling or gambling-ish, and maybe the EU wouldn't like that. But it's an idea. But then the game could generate an automatic bracket system where, we go, okay, it matches us up with each other, and we work our way through the bracket until we end up with our top 2 or 3 pilots or whatever, and we fight it out and see whose unit is the best, right? I don't know. Again, the meat of this is something that you guys could figure out better than me, but it certainly would be fun if we could, arrange for grudge matches. Another thing that they could do, obviously, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a couple pilots going at it in faction play, yelling at each other, going, hey, 1v1 me, bro, and shit like that. Well, the rest of the team doesn't really give a crap. They don't want to get involved. But what they could do is right-click on the pilot's name and challenge him to a duel in Solaris, right? And obviously, again, you don't want something like this to be farmable because people would just use that to farm ELO and C-bills. But what you could do is limit it to, I can challenge this pilot to a duel once or twice a day. However much you think the limit needs to be. And the other thing is, when we're coming to these prize fights and grudge matches, maybe best of should be an option, right? Maybe I should be able to challenge somebody to a best of 3 or a best of 5 or a best of 7. Who knows? I think this ties right back into the watch list because obviously with these prize fights and grudge matches, people are actually going to give a shit, right? The other people in the units might give a shit. People who are fans of the pilots who follow them on Twitter or YouTube, whatever, they might give a shit. They might actually want to watch the matches. You might actually develop a homebrewed streamer culture that spectates matches and streams them on Twitch. Who knows? So there's a lot of things that could be developed here and made interesting and good and useful that you guys have just totally missed out on. As for the spectators, how else they could be involved, obviously a betting system would be a no-brainer. I don't know if you can, I'm assuming that with the EU regulations, MC would be off the table, but C-bills is in-game currency that cannot be bought or sold for US dollars or any other, or whatever currency. So I'm assuming that might be okay. Obviously you would want to limit to amounts that are not going to allow people to farm a crap ton of C-bills. But it certainly would be something that might engage people in the spectator system. Let's shift over to new pilots. One thing that I've noticed with new pilots, and this does actually tie into the spectator system because obviously new pilots could watch matches and learn. But one of the biggest problems I see is, for example, earlier today I dropped this Cyclops in Division 2. And the pilot running up against me was 0 and 3. Clearly he was green, had no idea what he was doing, and he was dropping an Ebon Jag. And it just couldn't, there's no way it could eat the 100 damage volleys out of this thing, right? This thing's got MRM 100 on it. So every time I pull the trigger, and depending on my heat, sometimes I pull only one. But generally speaking, if I hit you with a full volley, you're taking 100 damage. The CT on an Ebon Jag just can't handle that, right? This thing's designed to fight king crabs, not Ebon Jaguars. There needs to be something in place that goes, okay, here are the top 10 mechs in Division 2. Here are the top 10 mechs in Division 3. And maybe it should have some sample builds, right? Maybe top tier pilots could even recommend builds for new, these are the builds that data recommends for new pilots, right? Things like that. But there needs to be something in place that really encourages new pilots to go, hey, all right, here's the top mech in Division 1. And they could just click through, find a build that they like, and take that into Solaris. It doesn't have to be full detail. Obviously, this is enough detail to give you an idea of how to build the mech. Might be a good idea. Allow these new pilots and encourage them in some way to actually look through these builds. Speaking of which, there should be a next button and a back button here. Anything you can do to remove a click from a UI is a good thing. So right now I have to click out, load this screen again, click back in, and then wait for all this crap to load. Why can't I just click next, 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 and move through the pilots? But there should be a concise list going here. You're new to Solaris. Look at these mechs. These are the mechs that you should consider. Don't take the Trial Nightstar in Division 1. It doesn't do well, right? Take this mech. I think that would really help out with new pilots who are just basically, they drop 2-3 matches, get absolutely wrecked in Solaris, and then they never come back, right? We want to give them a way to, and again, matchmaking across brackets might also help that because, if we've got two 1,300 ranked pilots dropping and they're dropping across all these divisions, well, there might be somebody who's 1,300 rank who was thinking he was going to be dropping in Division 1. There's another 1,300 rank over here. They're never going to find each other. But if they can queue up across divisions, maybe they're more likely to. Meanwhile, the two 1,800 guys are also finding each other, right? That would make a lot more sense. Prize payouts. This is something I really, really don't like right now. The dollars, the C-bills that we're getting, that's good. The ACC system and the supply caches are okay. But one big problem is the bolt-ons, and that's a big feature in Solaris, right? This was one of the big headlines that you had on all of your pages promoting Solaris. We were going to get bolt-ons for the mechs. Well, people like eye candy. People like playing with that kind of crap. Yeah, some people see it as frivolous, but other people enjoy it. So that's fine and all and well and good. The problem is, a lot of your new pilots might only have 10 mechs, right? That at most. So the majority of the time, the bolt-ons they're getting are for mechs that they don't even own. If I'm going to sit here and drop this Cyclops over and over again in Division 2, it would be nice if the bolt-on I won from the supply cache was for this mech, not for a mech I don't own at all, or never will own. Why would I want a bolt-on for an Osiris? I don't want an Osiris. I don't like the mech. Maybe I would if I tried it, but this is the thing is I've got all these other mechs that I've invested time, C-bills, and sometimes real-world dollars in. I would like to get bolt-ons for these mechs, right? I want bolt-ons for my Centurion. I want bolt-ons for this. I want bolt-ons for my Quick Draw. I really like my Quick Draw. I don't want bolt-ons for an Atlas. I don't have an Atlas. I don't want to have an Atlas. It's still a crappy mech. If you made it better, maybe I would care, but I have bolt-ons for Atlases. What good are they to me? They're nothing, right? It's just a waste of my time, and it just pisses me off. And you should really get rid of things that piss off your pilots, right? That's a good way to keep them around. I think maybe you could consider having increased payouts for non-meta mechs. And you guys, I'm sure you have systems in place that know which mechs are the meta and which mechs aren't. And you could give bonuses for dropping, and it doesn't have to be a lot. Depending on how far off meta the mech is, you could increase the payout, right? Obviously, I don't want to give people a huge increase for losing in non-meta mechs. I'm talking about when, you take a mech that is against the meta and you actually manage to make it win. That should be something that you get a bonus payout for. And you think about it, they win and then they win and win and more. They're going to shift the meta, right? So the system obviously needs to take that into account as well. A new mech dropped in the division, people are going to notice, and other people will build that mech and take it in Solaris, right? I'm sure the fact that I've been posting quick draw videos has increased the number of people dropping quick draws, right? There might, I don't know, but I would assume so, right? So yeah, payouts that kind of encourage people, especially the higher ranked pilots, to do things different, I think it would be a really good idea and add variety to the game. Other things that I'd like to see changed, your season length. Currently, we have 90-day seasons. This is the 21st century. People have 5-second attention spans. I can't even remember that sentence as I'm saying it, right? That's how bad it is. You've got us in 90-day seasons. That's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. I would be willing to wager that new pilots that come into this game play less than 30 days in a lot of cases. I don't know. You have the metrics on that I don't. But your seasons should take that sort of mindset into account. And, you need to cut these seasons down to 60 days and maybe have a mid-season break where you adjust the divisions and give out sort of halftime prizes that are, obviously the shorter the season, the lower the prizes should be because they're being paid out more often. But I think you really need to take real stock of how this is going, how Solaris is doing right now. We're only, you know, halfway through our second season, and already Solaris is basically dead most of the time. And I think this could really alleviate some of it. If the meta was changing in the divisions more regularly, if the seasons were ending more regularly, and here's another thing, your prize payouts. Show me anywhere on any of these screens where I can see what the end of season prizes are, right? Or which ones I'm qualifying for. There should be something in here that goes, okay, right now you're ranked 98 in Division 1. Here's the prize you're going to get when the end of the season happens if you stay at this rank, right? Here's the next rank. You know, if you can get up to 50, here's what your prize will be then, right? And here's what happens if you lose, right? There should be something here that tells us what we're going to get. Okay? Again, anything that I have to go to another website for or another forum for, you're just diluting the content available in the game. So let's get that in here somewhere. I'd say that's about all I have for the moment. I don't want to take away from faction play and quick play. I enjoy both those game modes, but I really think Solaris is a valuable game mode, especially for the fact that if it's active, you know, I can get in the game. I don't have to wait for my friends to come online to get in a group, and I don't have to drop in the solo queues, which I really don't enjoy. I can come in here, queue up, have fast matches. They're over quick, they're fast, they're fun, and then I can go join my friends when they actually all start playing, right? Makes sense. Anyway, I hope to see this grow and become a better game mode. I also want to see faction grow, and I think honestly you guys should be focusing most of your energies on faction play, aside from getting Mechwarrior 5 out. I really hope that when that comes out that you find a way to integrate those games together well, so that obviously we don't want to see Mechwarrior Online die, but that's another topic. Thanks.